NFL draft just a couple of weeks away, and a name that the Baltimore Ravens might very well end up calling, perhaps as early as the first round. And boy, the way he's trending, maybe with the 14th pick overall. This man really turned heads at the Senior Bowl and continues to prove to people just how dominant he is. He is Minnesota edge rusher Boye Mafe, and he's with us now here on Glenn Clark Radio. Boye, it's Glenn and Paul in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes for us this morning.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Appreciate you guys for having me on the show today.
Absolutely, man. It's great to chat with you. I think your story's fascinating, Boye. We, of course, got to know Adafe Owe here in Baltimore last year and see how important his Nigerian heritage is to him. Like the night we met him, he was like, hey, by the way, my name's Adafe, and that's what I want you to call me moving forward. And this matters to me. And I was doing some background on you, and I learned about your story of going to Nigeria and spending a year there as a young man at boarding school. How important is that heritage to you? And you've seen it almost feels like Nigerian players are sort of having a moment in the NFL in recent years. How cool is it to be a part of representing your heritage now as you make this jump?
I mean, it means the world to me, honestly. For me, I've always wanted, to embrace my culture and be able to, show that Nigerian players are, able to play in the NFL and have a stature and have a place in the NFL. And I mean, for me growing up, see my compass, how I, direct my life is through the culture and everything I was taught from my parents to my relatives to everybody in the community. And it really shaped and molded me into who I am today.
I mean, it's powerful. What did that year do for you going to boarding school? Did it, in your maturity and who you are as a man at such a young age to be spending time on the other side of the world, right? What did that do for you in molding you to this point?
I think the biggest thing is that I matured a lot. At a young age, I was 13 years old in another country by myself in boarding school. So, I mean, you have to grow up really fast to be able to, withhold and be able to understand and keep up with everything. You don't have your parents there to hold your hand and take care of you through everything. And I really had to grow up really fast and mature and learn how to take care of things on my own. And, I mean, I would do it again in a heartbeat. It was a fun year. I learned a lot about myself, and I learned a lot from people there, made some really good friends that I still stay in touch with today. And, I mean, it's something that it's one of those experiences that not a lot of people can say they've done, and I'm grateful that my family was able to have, my dad was able to do that for me.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Boye Mafe with us here on GCR. Hey, we saw Dafe had all the guys over, a bunch of his teammates over for like a Nigerian feast recently. What was when you were there? What was the food you most craved that like no one has quite been able to replicate since you've been back in the States?
When I got back to the States,
Yeah.
I mean, I've had it all. My mom used to cook for me. My aunt cooks for me, and honestly, I mean, I've actually opened my teammates up to that too myself.
That's cool.
Since I was a local kid, my family cook, and I'd bring it back to campus with me and share with my teammates. So I understand what he's doing there.
All right, so tell me the one. Tell me like the best single best Nigerian dish, like the one that if I wanted to introduce myself to Nigerian food, I should try to find this.
Oh, that would be jollof rice. That would be the first thing I'd try, and then you could just go anywhere from there. Honestly,
What makes it like when it just sounds like rice, right? Like what makes it so different?
yeah. I mean, it's the way they prepare it.
Okay.
You normally cook white rice in pot of water and maybe throw a little salt, butter, whatever you want to do in there. But this is cooked in like a stew, and it makes the rice soak in it, and it basically the rice stays. It has flavor. You can make it spicy. You can just make it sweet. You can make it however you really want to make it. I personally like it spicy, but it's just something about the flavor, and it's rice that doesn't really need too many additives. Like,
wow.
Some people have rice that add like peas and corn and whatever you want to add to it, but it really just needs the rice.
You just go get like a bowl of rice and you just sit there and be happy.
Exactly.
It sounds pretty good to me, bro. Sign me up for that. All right, Boye Mafe, you the football player, right? There are people that say, okay, but like he only had 7 sacks last year, and I like him. He's got some moves, but we just don't see the production that matches it. Tell me what those people are missing and what it is that you bring to the table as a football player.
I mean, for the biggest thing is like, people talk about the production from last year, but I honestly feel as if I'm yet to play my best football. I feel as if I still am tapping into, the next level of what I could be as a player. And honestly, for a fan or somebody who likes my game now, I feel as if it's just only going to get better from here moving forward.
Was it a scenario where, because people are aware of you, you were taking on, like a lot of people's best shots, that they were chipping you, they were gifting it, getting after you in every way they possibly can? I mean, because we saw when you got to the Senior Bowl, you were dominating. I mean, just overwhelming the best players in the country that were lined up trying to block you. Were you getting that type of attention over the last couple of years at Minnesota?
Yeah, I mean, teams have various ways to, to limit my, pass rush. You have the guard chip, so inside moves. You have tight ends coming off chipping off the edge, or having running back flared with a chip. So, it makes it a little bit difficult to always have those high production games. And, Senior Bowl was more one-on-one situations where
Yep.
I was able to, play into that and use that to my advantage.
Yeah, in the NFL too, most teams have like two or three capable, really damn good edge rushers on the field at one time. It's hard to identify one in particular that you want to go after. He's Boye Mafe. He's with us here on GCR. Boy, the other thing that jumped out at me in watching your film is you're not a one-trick pony. You are really strong in the run game. How confident are you in your skills to be a three-down player in the NFL? And where did that come from that you became such a versatile defender?
Honestly, I came from my teammates, my coaches. They always pushed me and always taught me. I learned from older guys that are in the NFL right now: Carter Coughlin, Kamal Martin, Antoine Winfield. Just to name a few, Blake Cashman, just to name a few of them. But honestly, I really just took what they taught me and what my coaches were taught me, and I really just ran with it and used that to my advantage, and used the things that they were all teach me throughout my years there and throughout my time there, and became that type of player.
What makes you so unique, Boye? Like, how do you separate yourself from the other edge rushers that are in this draft?
For me, I mean, the big, one thing is I have speed, power. There's a lot of fast guys in this draft class. There's a lot of great players in this draft class. I've met some of these guys, through the Senior Bowl, through the combine, and they're all great people and great players, honestly. I mean, I'm a fan of all their games, and hopefully, the fans of mine too. And for me, I think the thing that separates me is just, the way I play. My energy and my, pursuit and how I just play the game is a little bit different.
Hey, Boye, you mentioned You mentioned your teammates, and one of the guys that you were at Minnesota with is here in Baltimore. He was on the other side of the ball, so I don't know if you guys had like a particularly close relationship. I know he was juiced up for you. He was gassing you up on social media. Did you get to know Rashad Bateman particularly well? Is somebody that you maybe stayed in touch with at all?
Yeah, I mean, I was actually texting him last week, so I mean, we've stayed in contact throughout our time, and we've got to know each other really well in Minnesota. That's a friend of mine, and he, especially in Minnesota, we were a really tight knit group as a team, and we cared about everyone there. There wasn't really egos essentially. It was just more of just like we're all in it together. So, yeah, I'm really close with Rashad. He's a cool guy. That's a friend of mine that
that's
something I know very well.
It'd be kind of neat if things were to work out that way, that maybe you guys got to end up hanging out. I get it. I know you're excited wherever it's going to be, but it would be kind of neat if it worked out that way, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Reconnecting old teammates.
Right. That wouldn't suck.
Exactly.
That would be a cool person to have around. Yeah, tell me about him, because he was banged up a little bit last year, but we saw. I mean, we are. I'm telling you, man, I've rarely been as excited about a wide receiver the Ravens have ever drafted in their history, because you could, even in small samples a year ago, see just how many things he's capable of doing. What should, being around him as much as you did, seeing him game to game, week to week, how excited do you feel like Ravens fans should be about what Rashad Bateman is becoming as a football player?
I mean, I've going to school with him for 3 years, and seeing him work, how he works and how he goes about his business. He really does love the game of football, and he really just works. Like, I remember seeing times when he just comes in from class and he'll be catching balls off the balcony from with one of our coaches, and it's just the thing that he did was like he really wanted to learn and really wanted to get better in any way, shape, or form. So, I mean, if someone's really work like that, I'd be excited to see him play. And I've seen him do some things in college and game day that are very special. Catch the ball with one hand, pulling it in, 50-50 balls, just pulling them in through. Even though DBs have hands in his face or whatever, and he's still finding ways to catch the ball.
No doubt, he's a talent, man. Like, he is a special player, and we can't wait to see more of him moving forward. And maybe kind of a reunion, which would be cool. But boy,
That would be cool.
with that in mind, right? And again, and I know this. We're in Baltimore, so we're asking you about this. You do an interview today in Seattle. You're going to talk about that. We understand, right? Like we know how this game works. You just want to play in the NFL. We completely get it. But we talk a lot about the legacy of Baltimore Ravens defense and Ed Reed and Ray Lewis and Terrell Suggs. Does that still register to this day with folks your age that we're very young when Ray Lewis was as dominant as he was and when Ed Reed was as dominant as he was? Does the legacy of the Baltimore Ravens defense and like the idea of being a part of that, does that still matter to someone like you?
Yeah, I mean that's a legacy that they left behind, and that if I was with the organization, I would want to continue that legacy and finding a way to help out and do my part in creating and maintaining that legacy. I mean, the way they play the game and the way they watching, if you've seen interviews of them even now that they're retired, how they talk about how passionate they were about the game and how hard they worked to get what they wanted, and how they the way they went about the business was really impressive. So that's the standard, and that's how they set that Baltimore defense standard, and that's something as a team and as a player you want to uphold.
That's cool. That's cool that it still registers with guys like that because we're a decade removed from Ray Lewis even being on the field at this point. So it's really cool to hear that. All right, what's one thing, obviously we know your heritage, we know you as a football player, but give me one other thing that we should know about Boye Mafe, the person, should you end up becoming a Baltimore Raven. What's something else? Like, what might you get into on a Friday night outside of football season? Give me one more thing we should know about you.
I'm a big foodie, so
okay.
Coming to Baltimore, I'd love to try new restaurants.
Hey.
Anywhere good.
Are you a seafood guy, Boye? Are you into seafood?
Love seafood. Love seafood.
This maybe is written in the stars, my friend.
Seafood, that's the way to my heart right there.
Gonna have to call Eric DaCosta and let him know, man. You will be the easiest guy for folks around here to fall in love with. That's cool. Do you cook at all, or is it just enjoying what everybody else makes?
No, I love to cook.
That's cool.
Cooking anytime. I like to, right now I've been really big on YouTube and the cooking channels and trying new recipes. And really, when I see something that looks really good on YouTube, I try to replicate or make it myself. So,
if you had an interview today from MasterChef, what would be the meal that you would make to try to get yourself on the show?
I don't know. That's a tough one.
All right. There's nothing that like you say I'm really. I know I could hit a home run when I make this dish.
Oh, I mean, I love like cooking steaks and like a way I like to cook my steaks, but I would have to figure out what I'd add on to it, like asparagus and make some homemade mashed potatoes or something.
All right, maybe throw like some scallops on top of the steak, something like that. Exactly. Mix in a seafood. That's what I'm talking about. You and I are on the same level. All right, Boye Mafe, where can people be giving you a follow? Twitter, Instagram, anywhere like that as you continue this journey?
I mean, both Instagram and Twitter, BOYAA_ on Instagram, and then Boye_Mafe on Twitter.
Give him a follow there. Boye Mafe, man, how cool would it be? If you get into Baltimore, I'm telling you, seafood is on us. As soon as you get to town, we will make sure we take you out and get you hooked up. Wherever it ends up being, you're such a good dude. We're going to root for you. Just please understand, if it ends up being Pittsburgh, we know you're going to be excited. Don't be offended by what we say about you on social media. We promise it's not personal, all right?
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for taking the time, man.